All right, Dr. Thompson?
I just want to make one point to Mr. Obie and all the board members. I provided the committee and all board members the same information, which was a draft of this policy, nothing more, nothing less. It was posted for all board members to see, which now after first reading will be public information that anybody can have. I'll share it with anybody.
Please make sure that it's not the, ma'am, we have citizens' comments. I appreciate you, Ms. Carmen. I actually quoted one of your statements.
These problems after you give us a chance to speak. You are mentioning that it is a blanket problem.
I serve at the pleasure of the board.
It's going to be a second reading.
This will be a second reading, Ms. Carmen. Don't forget there will be a second reading. Thank you.
This is ridiculous.
All right, it's time to call the question.
I think Frank has a
Mr. Cooper Frank, I didn't even see you.
Yeah, I think what we need to keep in mind, this is just the first reading of the policy.
Thank both of you for
And
bringing
so there
that.
will be adjustments. That's why we're having these discussions. That's what discussion is about, to be able to make some adjustments to the current policy and even the recommendation from the policy committee. And this is what, we always do, Mr. Over, how the way policy committee works. The committee sit down, they put a lot of time into it, they come to these committee meetings, and they're working on behalf of the board. I don't serve on the policy committee, but I serve on other committees, such as the facility committee, where we come here and we work diligently to try to figure out a way to build schools. So I want to respect the policy committee for the hard work that y'all have done. Nevertheless, that's why the questions are brought to the floor, so that we can have questions, so that we can fix this first reading. It's only the first reading, so I just wanted to know.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. That's a good comment. We'll end with that. We appreciate those words. There is a motion on the table. I'm going to repeat it for all to hear before we call the question. That motion was made by Ms. Schwabe. The second came from Ms. Lee to approve agenda items 7A, first reading of policy JH, entitled Student Activities. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Just one. I'm only hearing one dissenting vote. The motion carries 8-1. Policy, first reading of policy JH, student activities, has been approved. Next up is agenda item 7B, entitled 2014-2015 Salary Book. Yes, Mr. Cooper, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, buddy.
I just want to make a comment as first reading, that for second reading, we kind of look at something that might give us a little more clarification. I just, if the intent is these direct parent student athletes, I think it should be something like principals should not assign volunteer parents of student athletes to coaching responsibility at the JV or varsity level within the program which their son or daughter is participating.
So maybe change
So
the
it
wording
make it a little bit more clear, because obviously there's a lot of questions here, and I would think by the time we come back for second reading, everyone has heard what our issues and concerns are. I would hope they would all be incorporated, because I can't support.
Okay. May I ask you to send that little bit of wordsmithing to me, and we'll make sure that it's considered by the committee. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. All right, Dr. Levine, you've waited patiently. Agenda item 7B, 2014-2015 salary book. The podium is yours.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Board Chair Murray, members of the board, Dr. Thompson, members of the administration, and also members of the audience. It is the recommendation of the administration of Berkeley County School District that the 2014-15 salary book be approved with an effective date of July 1, 2014, pending the board approval of the 2014-15 budget as listed under item 8 of the June 24th board agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Levine. Board, we have a recommendation from the administration. Do I have a motion and a second regarding agenda item 7B?
You do, Mr. Chair. I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration of the Berkeley County School District that the 2014-2015 salary book be approved with an effective date of July 1, 2014, pending the board approval of the 2014-2015 budget as listed under item 8 of the June 24th board agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Schwabe has made a motion. I'll restate that shortly for the record. That motion has been seconded by Ms. Lee to approve or to accept the recommendation of the administration of the Berkeley County School District that the 2014-2015 salary book be approved with an effective date of July 1st, 2014, pending the board approval of the 2014-2015 budget as listed under agenda item 8, is that correct, of the June 24th board agenda. Do we have any discussion regarding the 2014-2015 salary book? Hearing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor of the motion as stated by Ms. Yes, Mr. Cooper, I didn't see you.
The salary book, as we went through the budget workshop, we were going to make up a half a point or something on the step. So that would change if we approved the budget, right?
That's right. That's why the motion reads pending the approval of the budget.
So we'd have a different salary book if we increase those revenues because we're going to put the priority money back in.
We didn't adjust it at all. So depending on what motion, what budget passes, option 1 or option 2, or another option, we would go back and make the adjustment.
Be adjusted per the budget that we approved.
Yes, it's based on
I
this
didn't quite
year.
get that from the way the motion was being read.
Right.
Pending that. So
And the
thank
only
you.
thing in the budget or classified staff that would
Right.
be adjusted.
Yep. All right.
Maintenance and technology is already in there.
I'm good.
Any other questions or comments? And Mr. Cooper, I apologize, I didn't see you when I first looked. Hearing none, we'll call the question. A motion has been made by Mrs. Schwabe, seconded by Mrs. Lee to again accept the recommendation of the administration that the 2014-2015 salary book be approved with an effective date of July 1st, 2014, pending the board approval of the 2014-2015 budget as listed under agenda item 8 of the June 24th board agenda. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Dr. Levine, your salary book has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, agenda item 8, financial services. Mr. Thomas, we heard from you earlier in our 5:30 budget workshop. You have an item for action this evening entitled Fiscal Year 2014-2015 General Fund Budget.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Thompson, I will not take your time and go through the whole presentation again, but I'll direct your attention to the two options, and we ask for your approval of either option 1 at 142 mills and 223,579,000, or option 2 at 144.2 mills at 224,579. So I'll pass it back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. That was quick. Do I have a motion and a second regarding agenda item 8, item for action, fiscal year 2014-2015 general fund budget? Mr. Hayes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2014-2015 budget option 1 at an expenditure level of $223,579,353 for a millage rate of 142.9 as presented by Mr. Thomas in Finance Agenda Item 8.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Schwabe. Mr. Hayes has made a motion. I will read that shortly for the record. That motion has been seconded by Ms. Schwabe. The motion that was made was to approve the fiscal year 2014-2015 budget option 1 at an expenditure level of $223,579,353 for a millage rate of 142.90 as presented by Mr. Thomas in Finance Agenda Item 8. Any discussion, comments, or questions?
I just had a point of
Mr.
clarification.
Obey?
This budget with the 142.9 mills does not represent any increase in taxes or millage from the last year's budget, correct?
Mr. Thomas, I believe the question was for
It is the same
you.
millage rate as current year, yes.
So nobody will see any tax increases with this budget. So we're able to balance the budget this year with no tax increase.
Millage rate, yes.
Millage increase, right.
All right. Any other question? That was option 1. Any other questions or comments? Hearing, Mr. Cooper. Mr. Cooper, you know I'm hard of hearing and hard of seeing. So.
That's all right, and I don't want to pick on Mr. Obie, but I want to be clear because we're not balancing the budget. We're still $1.2 million off of our priorities with
Correct.
this option. We need another $1.2 million to get it balanced to where our budget is, but we're willing to approve a budget that we're going to sacrifice some on the priorities. So want to be clear, we are not yet balanced.
Some cuts on the floor. All right. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Again, the motion has been made by Mr. Hayes, seconded by Ms. Schwabe, to approve the fiscal year 2014-2015 budget option 1 at an expenditure level of $223,579,353 for a millage rate of 142.90 as presented by Mr. Thomas in Finance Agenda Item 8. All those in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries unanimously. Mr. Thomas, option 1 has been approved. Next up, agenda item number 9, instruction and accountability. Dr. O'Gorman has an item for information only tonight, and that is regarding summer programs. Dr. O'Gorman, the podium is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murray, members of the board, Dr. Thompson, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to give you an overview of summer learning for our students. We do not shut down in the summertime as some folks like to think. In fact, our teacher forum folks have met over the last 2 days, and they are already getting wound up for next year, have worked diligently the past 2 days, and have done a lot of work. But tonight we're going to talk specifically about some student groups and what they're doing this summer. The first is our extended school year services. I'm going to call on some of my directors just to be recognized. Not Dr. just yet. Kelly Wolf in the back, our special ed director, oversees our extended school year program. So we affectionately call it ESY. Special education services for students that are provided beyond the normal school year. Essentially the IEP team, the team that gets together to talk about the learning objectives for that particular student, discuss what that child may or may not need over the summer, and extended school year is put in place at no cost to parents for those children. And essentially they look at what is going on with that child. Is there anything that might help accelerate them over the summer, or is there anything that might cause that child to digress over the summer? Are there any kind of services that we need to provide? And it's not just academic, some of the social, emotional, those kinds of things. Here's just a brief overview of some numbers. You see that we are serving students in quite a few schools in the district at all levels, including transition services out of high school into the workplace. So again, all over the school district, running from June 9th to August 8th. That's a full summer for those students. Our limited English proficiency literacy camp, that is Dr. Ling over our federal and state programs. You see we run June 9th to the 26th at 4 different locations, serving 177 students, trying to increase their literacy skills as well as their language skills. We provide lunch and transportation. This is through a federal grant, Title III. Also, adult ed. Dr. Caldwell is here. We run adult ed through the summer. You see work keys preparation, Career Ready 101, out at St. Stephen, working on the GED for adult education graduation ceremony for the Berkeley High and Fishburne folks. Our students still involved in the school virtual program. Trying to get students, this would be the last year for HSAP exam preparation, and also a family literacy program that Dr. Caldwell and Miss Amanda Prince had shared with you this past year, partnering with some work that we're doing with parents as well as their students out at the College Park area. Also, our typical programs for middle school and high school for content and credit recovery opportunities is available June 11th through July 10th, and for high schools, those opportunities June 11th through July 30th. Just trying to get students to recoup some credits that they may have lost during the regular school year. Read to Succeed. what that looks like now. The plans have changed quite a bit based on what's happened at the state level. We ended up following state guidelines and distributed books to students, identified third graders. 137 of them received books. We sent them over the summer. They were allowed to choose 8 books to take home to read. We provided those books through Read to Succeed and at-risk funding. Next year, that will look a little bit different based on what I'm hearing now. We'll serve grades 1 through 3. Then our Title I Summer Literacy Project, also under Dr. Lang's office. This is a continuation of something we've done in the past. Provide 3 reading books provided for all students who come to a book distribution location. The books are aligned to the instructional themes and the standards of that student for the upcoming year. We've done 11 distribution sites in 9 days, over 1,800 students served as of today, and again, that is provided through Title I. And then our summer step, this falls under our fine arts department, under Ms. Calcutt in the Division of Instruction. Runs June 9th through the 19th, 325 students participating in grades 4 through 8, housed out at Sangaree for 8 days. You see all the different areas in which we are providing experiences for students. There's also a high school visual arts program at Stratford for 35 students, and this year we featured an architectural STEAM-inspired project. And these are some snapshots. I should have mentioned, I want to thank Ms. Hare and her folks for putting some pictures together. Some of the summer camp pictures were running as y'all came in this afternoon. So here's just some snapshots of the STEP program. In addition to that, we've got the Junior Scholar Institute. This is held at Westview Middle School, July 7th through 10th and July 14th through 17th. So that's coming up after the week of the 4th. Students are there from 8:30 to 3. We have 100 junior scholars and Duke Tip scholars that participate, and the finale is on July 17th. I've got some snapshots here of some things that were done last year, since this hasn't taken place quite yet. This is at the Water Missions International to explore concerns about water for our world. They're not just housed at Westview Middle all day. They go out on little excursions like this and do different things. They've also done global types of issues. The food bank is kind of neat. I talked to some students that had participated, that were high school students that had participated when they were in middle school, that had continued to work with this project even after leaving middle school. And you see them working at the egg bank to make usable cartons of eggs out of donated broken cartons. This is a neat project as well. Students actually make a robot out of PVC materials, and that you see them in the pool there. They've got to create this robot that goes in the water. They've got to make it go up and down, back and forth, pick up objects and things of that nature. And so we've got volunteers from local businesses that come out and teach them how to do that. It's pretty neat. In addition to that, you can see our sponsors here that help make our iTeams camp run. Dr. Gelman helps coordinate that event. This is open to rising 7th and 8th graders. We currently have 86 students participating. Those 11 middle schools represented, and we've got transportation and lunch provided, and we're able to actually house all the students that apply for this particular program. If you've got any questions, I'll do my best to answer them, or have one of my directors answer questions about specific programs or services.
All right, thank you, Dr. O'Gorman. Agenda item 9, item for information, summer programs. Do we have any questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question.
Ms. Moore?
My question is, when you have a severely disabled student that attended the high school and they're too old to be in a regular school, what program we have to put them in that they can become, employable?
Yes, ma'am. Transition services is what you're asking about. We actually implement a program. Law requires that by the age of 16 that we start working on a transition plan for that child, so that when they become 21 years of age, that we have a transition for them from school into the workplace. And so those services are actually going on this summer for some of those students. Yes, ma'am.
I asked that because I had a student who was 22 years of age, and she's just sitting home not doing anything. So I'll talk to you because I need to
Yes, ma'am.
contact someone
Please do.
concerning
Yes.
that particular student.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mrs. Moore. Any other questions, comments? Nope, good. All right, thank you. Dr. Gorman, thank you very much for the information on this summer's programs. We appreciate that. Moving now to agenda item 10 entitled Superintendent's Report. And the superintendent has, in addition to his report, an item for action entitled 2014-2015 Board Meeting Schedule.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the item for action as presented, it is a recommendation of the district administration to approve fiscal year 14-15 Board of Education meeting schedule as presented in agenda item 10.
All right, we'll deal with the item for action. Do I have a motion and a second regarding agenda item 10, item for action 2014-2015 Board Meeting Schedule?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the administration's recommendation for the fiscal year 14-15 Board of Education meeting schedule as presented in agenda item 10.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. We've got a second from Mr. Obie. Thank both of you. A motion has been made by Mr. Cooper, seconded by Mr. Obie, to approve the administration's recommendation for the fiscal year 2014-2015 Board of Education meeting schedule as presented in agenda item 10. Do we have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the motion?
This is just,
Mrs. Lee? Mr. Obie, I'll come back to you. Ms. Lee?
On the schedule here, I see that we have two dates, October 14th and March 10th. October 14th being at St. Stephen Elementary and March 10th being at Hanahan Middle. I would like to see more dates where we're going to different schools.
Okay.
I think it's good for the communities to have their board out in the community.
Sure. Agreed. I agree with you as well. We can continue that discussion. Can we accept the dates tonight and the two specific site visits? And then we can always add to that and come back. I assume, I work at the pleasure of the board, I think we can come back and approve that addendum editing later on.
Yeah, I just would like to respond to that. We're glad to go to the schools, and it's not any effort on my part. I just show up at that school just like I show up at this school, at this meeting place. But it is a day of several of our maintenance staff and technology staff to get those schools set up with the temporary stage, the sound, moving the stage in and out, and they have to come back the next day early because we have to have school in that building. So we've gone with two to different ends of the county, and I work for the the will of the board. If we want to add another school, I just wanted to make that point. We don't see the work behind the scenes to get that school ready. Yes, sir.
I would just like to suggest that we consider Min Riv as an
I was going to say the same
location to do
thing.
that. It
Yeah.
would avoid some of those problems, being that it houses technology and it does have a stage.
You got a stage already put in place,
All
large
that.
room,
And
absolutely.
a place to do that. So I would say we consider that as well as other schools.
And then that would help you with the Goose Creek particular location. All right, that's a great suggestion. All right, any other comments before we call, Mr. Obie?
that was just clarifying Ms. Lee's comment. This is just, an initial layout that we can change it anytime.
Agreed,
Yeah.
absolutely
These
agreed.
really to announce the dates to the public.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds like we are ready to call the question. There has been a motion by Mr. Cooper, seconded by Mr. Obie, to accept the recommendation of the administration regarding the 2014-2015 board meeting schedule. All those in favor of this motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. The motion carries unanimously. The proposed 2014-2015 board meeting schedule has been approved. Dr. Thompson, do you have any other items for the superintendent's report?
Yes, I would like to make one comment and then one other item. Tonight we had some very passionate discussions about the volunteer policy and our parents, and I appreciate the fact that we have such interest in our extracurricular activities. And when it comes to those sporting events and our band and chorus, there are lots of emotions to that, and I think we all can agree that extracurricular activities are important to the learning process. But it is a support to the learning process. It's an enrichment to the learning process. And today, I had the opportunity to go to MNRIV, where we had, 50, 60 members of our teacher forum representatives there, our classroom teachers, and I'm pretty sure they didn't get paid. They volunteered their time. If they did get paid, I don't know about it or know how they got paid, but I'm pretty sure they volunteered their time to be there, and they gave their time and effort to start preparing for next year and planning, reviewing what happened this year and preparing for next year so they can better serve our students in the classroom. And it's all about student achievement, and that's why we invest in extracurricular activities to enrich what goes on in that classroom so our students can achieve. We know that students that are involved in extracurricular activities are more likely to be engaged in that classroom. And I want to remind everyone, myself included, the board, the people in the audience, the parents, the stakeholders, it is our role to support that classroom teacher so we can remove the barriers that prevent positive instruction. And so I think that if we can all agree that the classroom teacher and student learning is our top priority, the things that we have to do to make our extracurricular activities in the best scenario for our students, we can resolve this. But we've got to bring our focus back to student learning and the classroom teacher. And thank you to Teacher Forum. I was very impressed by the professionalism of our teachers, and I'm so proud to be associated with such dedicated individuals. And I thank our board. We had Jim Hayes and Kathy Swaby that were able to attend for a little while today, and thank you guys for being there. It was lots of effort. And the last reminder is, as approved tonight, the board meeting scheduled July the 8th will not be a traditional meeting. It will be a board workshop focusing on the 14-15 goals and areas of focus. We will begin that meeting at 5:30 so that we can ensure that we have ample time. It is definitely open to the public, but we will be in a circle in a work session reviewing our goals and areas of focus for next school year. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Thompson. That concludes the superintendent's report. Mr. Obie.
I just want to say one thing. I tell Dr. Thompson to thank him and thank his staff for having a lot of the schools I know that were already open today, but that were open to support the voting that went on today and the many visitors they had coming in those schools. Just to thank the staff for allowing the schools to be able to do that, as opposed to having people go to different voting places and getting confused.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very important for our community. Well said, Mr. Obie. All right, with that said, let's move to agenda item number 11, executive session. Prior to asking for a motion, to move the executive session, I will state the stated purposes as per the agenda. Tonight in executive session, we will hear attendance appeals, personnel considerations, contractual matters, and a legal briefing. With that said, do I have a motion and a second to move into executive session?
Mr. Chair, I move that we move into executive session.
A second.
Thank you. Ms. Schwabe has made a motion. Ms. Lee has seconded that motion to move into executive session. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. We're in executive session.